Teachers jailed for alleged sexual misconduct with young children at the same elementary school in Los Angeles. More graphic and heart-wrenching information seems to be coming out every day here. Parents are angry. God, it must be outraged and asking how could this happen with supposedly no one watching. Administration asleep at the wheel. Watch this. Was one student at this elementary school victimized by two teachers? Were complaints about the men ignored? Is there a bigger problem that went unchecked? How many alleged victims are there? These are just some of the questions being asked since Mark Burnt and Martin Springer were arrested within days of each other last week. Each is jailed on a number of charges related to sexual abuse of children. According to published reports, students reported in the 1990-91 school year that Burnt was masturbating behind his desk. The students were accused by a counselor of making that up. In 1994, police investigated a report that Burnt had touched a girl inappropriately. That case was not pursued. The father of the second grader, who was allegedly abused by both teachers, says Burnt took pictures of the girl, which the dad took to the principal in August of 2008. She was transferred to Springer's class in September. Both men continued to teach. Incredible. Was there a cover-up? Was it negligence or something else? The lawyer for one student, allegedly photographed by Mark Burnt, thinks other teachers were, in fact, involved in this. Unbelievably, watch this.
My client's daughter was removed from her regular class and escorted over to Mr. Burnt's class in the middle of the day for Mr. Burnt to carry out all of these sordid activities on these kids.
Joining me, Dr. Steve Perry, principal of the Capital Preparatory Magnet School in Hartford, Connecticut. He is a CNN education contributor. And Matthew Nicholas, the attorney who represents the family of the young girl allegedly victimized by two teachers. Matthew, please tell us about the accusation your client has made.
Well, the accusations at this point are that the parents came forward in 2008 when they saw these pictures. They were disturbed. They didn't understand why a teacher would be engaging in this conduct with a student, why the teacher would take pictures of it and then hand them out to the student. Pictures come home. Parents are disturbed. They go to the principal and they say, this is not right. And the principal shrugged them off and said, this is probably part of a school project. There's nothing to worry about. We're going to keep the kid in class.
And so how do you make sense of that, or have you tried to make sense of that? I mean, the principal's response to something so disturbing seems so dismissive. I have talked to students who were in the 4th grade in Burnt's class back in the day, in the 90s, I think she had told me, and the students there had made reports. Well, what do you think was going on with this principal?
Well, it seems beyond the principal. From what we're seeing, and the story is unfolding every day, what we're seeing is that there's an institutional-wide malaise, that people are not trained what to look for. People aren't paying attention to what's happening. You know, when the father went to the principal and the principal was trying to dismiss him, the father insisted that the child be moved from Mr. Burnt's class, and he kept her out of school for a week until that would happen. Unfortunately, she was moved to Mr. Springer's class, and certain things continued to happen. But when a parent comes forward with a photograph or several photographs, and a principal doesn't even look into it, there is an institutional-wide problem that needs to be addressed.
Steve, you sit in that principal chair. I want to go out to you. You always help me make sense of these things. Do you agree with what Mr. Nicholas is saying, that there's an institution-wide problem here? And if so, what would that be, in your opinion?
It would appear very rare is the occasion that a teacher could participate in what's alleged to have been his behavior for about 30 years and no one know. There's no point at which a child should be in a classroom and be among other children who have tape put over their mouths or blindfolds put on. There's nothing anywhere in academia where that's okay. And so it goes beyond the pictures. It goes into a place where the principals, because there may have been more than one in the school over that length of time, or the administration, and the colleagues. I always am strangely surprised by the colleagues who have this concern. They know that there's some sort of creep factor that's being that's in play, and they simply don't say anything. You know, it's easy to blame the principal, But I hold the colleagues in the room next door who didn't ask the question and didn't bring forward their concerns to the administration and keep going until something got done. Very often.
Well, Steve, let me ask you. I want to ask something else, and that is that, you know, I think sometimes there's a concern of accusing teachers, you know, ruining someone's career because, you know, a child makes an accusation. Yeah, I understand what you're, believe me, I don't think it's okay.
Kids rarely lie. Dr. Drew, you and I both know kids rarely lie. You know, kids rarely make this stuff up.
At least, Steve, where there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean?
Usually
somebody needs to really
the case.
Investigate whenever a kid says it. Yeah, but
this child
here's the deal. Is there something... I'm asking a tough question. Is there something in California? Is there something where the administration might have been frightened of a suit? Is there a union issue? Is there something more going on here that paralyzed the administration's ability to respond that has not yet been uncovered?
I can never speak to why a person doesn't do the right thing when a child is involved. I don't even want to try and understand that. But I do know this, that every single one of us has an obligation to keep every single child safe. And it's very, very easy to ask hard questions when you put children first and you put them above adults. You have to ask yourself, why is this man taking pictures at all of children? It is, you know, parents.
Trust me, yes. I think somebody should ask that question. That's bizarre as heck. And I think that's Matthew's point. And Matthew, let me ask you that same question about this administration having been paralyzed by some other issue that we haven't yet seen.
You know, Drew, I can't, as you were asking that question, I was thinking, and in California, teachers and administrators are mandated reporters. They must report to authority, not what they know to be sexual abuse, but what could reasonably be sexual abuse. And as your other expert is pointing out, there is no reason to take pictures of kids. And, you know, teachers are supposed to act in loco parentis. They are the parents of the children. And I have 3 children that are under the age of 6. And I would never stand by if I was taking care of my children on a day in and day out basis in a school and I saw one of my subordinates do this. I wouldn't act that way if they were my kids. Well, there would be an immediate investigation.
Matt, let me ask another tough question, which is, along these same lines, is what if this had been Beverly Hills and not Miramonte?
That's the issue, Drew. That's the issue right there. You hit the nail right on the head. What do you think? Go. That you hit the nail right on the head.
Tell me.
These are parents who are indigent in many cases, or who are immigrants, and they're being treated as such. And so, because they may not have been as willing to move forward, they haven't had the megaphone of the community. And that's really where the issue is. The issue is you have a group of families who are not being treated, quite frankly, as American citizens. Because had it been Beverly Hills or had it been somewhere else where these folks were white and/or privileged, I do not believe that this would have been brushed under the rug in the way it has. For 30 years, you mean this is okay simply because the guy speaks broken Spanish from time to time and takes kids on trips and goes and buys enchiladas from the nearby truck? That's not okay, man. It's not cool. We know that we've treated too many children from historically disadvantaged populations as if they do not matter. And that's the only thing that can make this make sense, because there's no reason why. You mean to tell me, one of the things I've asked my colleagues many times, would you put your own biological child in the classroom with this individual? If the answer is no, if you wouldn't let your kid go home with this individual, if the answer is no, then why didn't you tell me? Why would you put me as a principal in a position where I'm the last guy to find out?
I appreciate your comments, Steve, and I go into this weird kind of denial, like, no, it can't be that. But you guys are absolutely right, and if it's that, Matthew, have at it. Gentlemen, thank you again.